in, they don't wanna let me get out. I'ma put you on a bitch, you gotta sit out. Hit the street and had a block going crazy. Mama say I'm playing with my life and can't nobody save me up. I got Steve.
So today we are comparing a budget knife versus its premium version, the Civivi Qubit versus the NEEVEKNIVECO Qubit, and we're going to put them head to head to see what is the big difference between the two. Is the premium one worth more money? And just overall, what's the differences? Now we're going to do edge retention tests, we're going to test the scales, we're going to test the finishes, we're going to test literally everything and see across the board what is the difference between the two. Now I plan on doing more videos like this in the future between different models from budget to premium, but this is a great example to do this on because they are the same knife basically. As far as edge retention goes, this is about as close as it can get. So let's get into it. So let's check out the sound and the difference in action. So first off, the Civivi does have a little bit of a lighter detent and a little bit of a muted sound. Not a bad sound, but the Wii has a nice thwack. Both of them are rock solid lockup, no problems with that. Both of them are completely fall shut action. The Wii definitely has a heavier weight to it. You can absolutely feel that right off the bat, the difference in the weight and the feeling. This one definitely feels, you know, a little bit more refined than this one. Now you could say that's just the weight from the titanium, but there is a significant difference in the texture and the feel from titanium to aluminum, especially if you're used to touching them both. Now, the one big difference is the bottle opener that the Civivi has that the NEEVEKNIVECO doesn't. Some people did not like that, so that's going to be a plus or a negative to you, just depending on how you look at it. But as far as the action goes, they do feel significantly different just because of the detent strength and the sound and, you know, the materials, the weight and all of that. I do appreciate the Wii one a little bit more than the Civivi one in this case, but they are both still really good. Let's take them apart and compare all the materials. We have everything taken apart here, and we're going to go through the materials really quick. Obviously, there's a lot of similarities, but the big difference is in what the materials are. So here we have aluminum scales with a steel pocket clip. That's just a bent over steel pocket clip and hardened steel hardware. I got to give Civivi credit. They do a really good job on their hardened steel hardware. Now, the blade steel is obviously different, 14C. When we move over to the Wii version, we have titanium scales, a titanium mill pocket clip. I did not take that off. And then titanium hardware, hardened titanium hardware. And again, I got to give Wii credit. They have some of the best titanium hardware I've seen. I've tried a lot of titanium hardware where I was actually upset that it was titanium because it was soft titanium. They do hardened titanium, so it's always the best. I love their titanium hardware, to be honest. Now, another thing that's different is they actually use a pivot collar that's anodized on the Wii version for the pivot. So you have the pivot that goes into each one, the Wii and the Civivi, but then the screw that goes into the other side, on the Civivi version, it's just a steel screw, and on this side, we have a pivot collar with a titanium pivot collar with a titanium hardened screw. Now, another little difference is the spring. Now, while I'm not saying they're different materials, I don't know, maybe one's a little bit better steel, I have no idea, but I can tell significant difference in pressure. So the Civivi is not as strong as the Wii version. The Wii version seems to be a little bit stronger of a spring. Now, I did notice a big difference in the detent as well. My detent on the Civivi is much lighter than the Wii. If you have a problem with your detent ever being too strong on a button lock, one thing you should do right away is adjust the hardware. Adjust the hardware, back them all out, and then re-put them back in and make sure the scale goes down nice and flat. Sometimes from expanding and contracting or maybe hardware loosening up, a button lock can get really bad a really bad detent basically because of the scale shifting. Now, if that doesn't work, which it should, but if it doesn't, you can take your spring out and compress it. So basically just compress it for a couple minutes and then put it back in the knife. And then same thing with if it's weak. If it's a weak detent, stretch it out a little bit. So that's all you got to do to make a stronger or weaker detent with a button lock. Now, some similarities. We have the same exact ceramic brass caged bearings. So these are brass caged with ceramic balls for the bearings. Not a problem with that. And then they have the same hardened steel washer to separate the aluminum, you know, or titanium from the hardened steel blade. And, you know, everything else is pretty much the same, just, you know, like I said, just different materials used to do the job. By the way, both knives do have a captured pivot. You see that little groove? Well, the pivot has that same groove on there, and you just match that up when you put it in, and so that it doesn't shift around. Find that spot, and then it won't spin on you. As far as the clip goes, the Civivi one is definitely a little bit smoother in and out of the pocket. Now, the NEEVEKNIVECO version is still really good. It's not bad at all, but you hear a little click when it comes out. It's not bad. It's still very smooth, and it is made with better materials, being titanium. This one's just a steel spring pocket clip. But as far as just effort going in and out of the pocket, the Civivi one definitely takes the win on that one, but both of them are good. So it's close. You could argue that the looks of having a titanium clip are a little bit better than that little tiny bit of difference.
I'ma put you on a bitch, you gotta sit out. Hit the street and had a block going crazy. Mama shine playing with my life and can't nobody save me. Yeah.
NEEVEKNIVECO.
They can't mess with my technique. Yeah.
Civivi.
I'm a OG boy, don't disrespect me.
Cross white top. Civivi.
We. Block spotless like I'm Mr. Clean. Back in 2010, I had a plan. Now 2021, they run the band. Living in the future, I'm advanced. And when I get back outside, I'll make sure they understand I'm the man.
We.
That's right. I'll make sure they
now on just concrete sidewalk. Civivi. Ooh, that's so bad. We.
That's a language I don't understand. I'm the man.
Okay, so how did the scales turn out from the durability test? You can see, I guess I slid it mostly on its face because, you know, instead of sliding it over the clip. So these are the sides that took the most damage, and you can clearly see that the Civivi took significantly more damage than the Wii. The Wii actually barely, I mean, it has a couple little scuffs and marks. I mean, you can see it definitely went through something, but it's not that bad. A couple little scuffs right there, a little bit on the clip from where it flipped, a little bit on that side. Studs look pretty good. This one, let me clean it off really quick and then we'll take a look. Okay, so it's not coming off. I got a lot of it off, but a lot of it is just not coming off no matter what I do. I've been scrubbing it. I put this down here, I'm scrubbing it like this, and it's just not coming off. I can see where it really scratches that it's gonna be white. But this black tar, black whatever, you know, from the black top, I don't know if, I guess it just stained it. But you can see all the little dings and, dings on it that broke into the aluminum. Aluminum is just a much softer material than titanium. So, it should have done that. So to be honest, this is a pretty typical thing. This is what I would have expected. Let's get to the sharpening. So, sharpen up the NEEVEKNIVECO 17 degrees per side, and I sharpened both of them at 17 degrees per side, even though the Wii is slightly thicker. We're sharpening on the TSPROF KO3, and I'm sharpening to 1000 grit. I'm sharpening both of them on the exact same stones, using the exact same strop at the exact same angle to the exact same grit. Now, I'm not counting how many passes of strop I do or how many passes I do for a burr removal. I just do it until whatever feels good for that steel, for that heat treat, etc. Now, I did have one issue for the Civivi and the Wii, and you can see it right here. There's a little spot right at the heel closest to the plunge grind. You see how the light's not reflecting back, how it's a little bit dark right there? The scratch pattern did not hit the apex. Now, that was a problem with both versions, and I'm guessing it's just when they sharpen it on the belt, when they were coming into the belt to do the sharpening, there were a little bit of an angle right there, and then they went to the rest of the edge. Not that big of a deal, but it did make it a lot more difficult to hit that area, that area's apex. So during the cut test, I don't really count that little area when cutting in the paper. If that area is not cutting the paper, I don't care. I just kind of go a little bit in front of it and count that. And same thing with the cut test. I'm trying to hit a little bit in front of there. Now, I'm using the exact same strop, exact same compound for the Wii and the Civivi. The Civivi sharpening is going to go by a little bit faster. I did cut some of this up because I know this video is pretty long, and you know, I didn't want it to be this long of a video, but it's difficult to do all these tests and to prove it to you guys that I did these tests without showing you a lot of this stuff. So as you can see, 17 degrees per side. Once again, sharpen it up, same exact everything, same angle, same stones, same stropping. And yeah, so let's get to this damn cut test. By the way, they both did sharpen up really well, and the burr removal came off really nicely. Everything went good. Okay, let's look at these edges under the microscope. They should look identical. They were sharpened at the same angle, same everything, up to the same grit, which is a Diamond 1000 grit. You can see the scratch pattern, very consistent. You can tell it was properly sharpened and properly deburred. The burr removal looks really good on this. Here is the Wii version, the Civivi Qubit, and as you can see, identical. Same scratch pattern, same consistency, same stones, up to 1000 grit, same angle. You can see the burr was properly removed. Everything looks beautiful on this. Little piece of fuzz right there, but that doesn't count. So yeah, so let's see these after some use. I have double-walled cardboard now. I did buy some new stuff because the last test we did, the last cut test we did was single-walled cardboard. This is double-walled now. So it is a bit different. I'm gonna consistently try to get this exact cardboard for the rest of my tests. We're gonna start off with the Civivi. These are 1 foot sections, so each cut is going to be 1 foot. We are going to do cross hatch, so we're going to do across the grain. And we're going to start right now. And also, I'm not going to tape it off, but I'm going to keep everything right there in its sweet section. It's going to be within a 1-inch section. You know, these knives, they're kind of small, so when you choke up, you can kind of get them right to where that edge is going to be. It's 2, 3. Oop. So I'm going to speed this up for you guys. I was going to cut a bunch of it out, but I figured I'd just leave it and speed it up for you. So the entire test, I'm not going to make you guys wait to hear the results. I'll just let you guys know the results while we're doing the cut test. So 309 feet. 309 feet is what the Civivi and 14C28N got. Now here's the thing. 13 thousandths behind the edge with 88 thousandths blade stock thickness. That's actually much thinner than the Wii version. The Wii version is, what was it, 100 thousandths blade stock thickness and 18 and a half thousandths behind the edge. So 5.5 thousandths thicker behind the edge. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is 309 feet is really, really good for 14C. Personally, this is the best I've ever seen 14C do. Now, I'm gonna account that for the geometry. The geometry is exactly what this steel does best with. Super thin geometry, which the Civivi version absolutely is. Both of them are very thin. But 14C with 13 thousandths behind the edge, 88 thousandths blade stock thickness, and think about it, the 88 thousandths, that's the thickest portion. That's not the cutting area. The cutting area is like 70-something thousandths. So with that super thin geometry, it allows it to get, you know, a lot of cutting. Now, here's the other thing. you could argue with me 50 feet. And I'll deduct it. And I say that because there's some times when I don't make the cut all the way down because I hit my knuckles on the board and my knuckles were beat to shit by the end of this thing. So if you want to argue 50 feet, I'll deduct 50 feet. That's still 260 feet. That's still my personal best with 14C, even if you take 50 feet away. So that's still a really, really, really good result. So, you know, I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to debate the 50, 60 feet, whatever it might be that I might, because also, I got to say this too. The cardboard is absolute crap. I will never use this cardboard again. It kept crumbling on me. You'll notice in some of the cuts, it binds up, and it's just messy. It's just crappy cardboard. I know I said I was going to buy more of this stuff, but I absolutely will be buying different stuff. So, you know, just take that into consideration too, that some of the cuts I did count, some of them I didn't because it crumbled. So it just kind of depended on where it crumbled at. You know, like if I was mostly through the cut and it crumbled, I'd count it. If I just started it, I wouldn't. So, man. I'm gonna do one more set. This cardboard is shit. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna call it there. So, see, it's cutting up here, just so you see. That's where it hasn't been hit yet. But when we go to the section it has, it cuts, but it catches. Right there. It's not a lot. Some people would, you know, say it's still plenty sharp. Easily strop it back. I honestly don't feel anywhere. Maybe a smidgen, but I can feel the sharpness difference, but it's still very sharp back there. Okay, now we are to the Wii version. Again, same exact everything. Let's get to it. So, the NEEVEKNIVECO 100 thousandths blade stock thickness. In the cutting area, it's about 95 thousandths. Behind the edge thickness is 18 to 18 and a half thousandths. Now that's significantly thicker than the Civivi version. The Civivi version is 88 thousandths or 80 thousandths in the cutting section and 13 thousandths behind the edge. So it is a bit thicker behind the edge and blade stock thickness than the Civivi. So the Civivi got 309 feet. The NEEVEKNIVECO version got 662. Now, if you want to debate me and argue 100 feet, go ahead and deduct it. That'd still be 562 feet. I wouldn't argue with you because I know I hit my knuckles on some of them. So, you know, some of the cuts aren't super clean. You know, this cardboard's absolute crap, but that's still, I think, good results compared. Now, here's the thing. I expect 20CV or M390 to do 2.5 times better than 14C. If it's really well done, M390 or 20CV, then up to 3 times as much as 14C. So we are around double. So maybe not quite as good as what it could be, but still not too bad. It's still pretty good. And I would argue that the Civivi did actually better than what we usually see from 14C because of the geometry. So I think there was a little bit more playing into the benefits for the 14C and maybe a little bit less on the 20CV. Now, this is still great cutting geometry for 20CV. So I won't argue that. This is still phenomenal cutting geometry, and these are about as close as you could get, you know, comparing the two. But all in all, you know, for what you're paying, you are getting significantly more edge retention. Now, we are going to strop here in a second and see which one strops back better, because that is still a thing, you know, when you're in the middle of cutting and you strop back. Now, personally, for me, I would never do this much cutting before stropping. I would do maybe a quarter of this each time when I decide to strop, because I want to keep that my edge going as long as possible. And if you introduce stropping into a cut test, it's going to be way higher. And also, you know, you got to consider this is only a 1-inch section. So, you know, for a 1-inch section, that's quite a bit of cardboard. Now, like I keep saying, you know, I am going to get different cardboard. I bought this stuff. This stuff was not cheap. This stuff was not cheap. It was actually pretty expensive. So I'm actually kind of upset about that, but I got it. This is what I had. This is what I used. So I wasn't going to wait for more. I had already waited for this stuff, even though I'd already bought other cardboard that was single walled. So, and I didn't want to continue using that stuff because I wasn't really happy the last time, because other people do cut tests and they're using double walled. So I'd like to compare it at least a little bit. Now, those of you that want to argue about my cut tests versus somebody else's and the numbers being different, you got to remember, we do them different. Me, when I sharpen the 14C versus the 20CV, I don't strop a specific amount of times. I don't do any of that. Yes, I sharpened it at the same angle. I use the same sharpening stones. I use the same abrasives. I stopped at the same grit, and I stropped with the same exact strop. All of that's true, but I don't do a specific amount of passes to do a burr removal. I remove it until it's gone. Same thing with the stropping. I just do whatever feels good for that steel and that heat treatment. So that's going to be a little different. Our hands are different. The cardboard's different. You know, the knives are different. So there's a lot of differences. So there is going to be some variations between people's tests. As you can see here, I'm opening up another bundle of this stuff. And, you know, we're almost done with this test. But yeah, 662 feet. If you want to argue 100 feet, it's 562. That's still a damn good number. I'm not too upset about that. Could it have been better? You know, arguably, but we might be calling it. Okay, so we are testing the sharpness and to see how dull it is before stropping it back, to see how much it comes back. I should have tested it before I did the test to see how sharp it was, to see how dull it got, but you know, too late now. Okay, so the Civivi's average after doing 3 different tests was 359. The Wii's average after doing 3 tests was 313. I'm going to use a brand new strop. This is my favorite strops from Stroppy Stuff. Now, the strops are pretty expensive, so it's kind of tough to recommend them, but the Stroppy Stuff emulsion is absolutely my favorite. 100% recommend. It's color coordinated, so you never cross contaminate. You know, you'll know exactly what your strop has on it. We're gonna do 9 micron, brand new strop, brand new bottle of stropping compound, and we're doing this on purpose so we, you know that there's no contamination on the strop or anything like that. We know they're both gonna have a nice fresh strop. I love this stuff. Soaks in nice and fast and ready to strop. Now, you can get this stuff in smaller bottles as well. We're gonna get some on the NEEVEKNIVECO site here very soon, but right now I have them linked down in the HAPSTONE link. So if you want some stroppy stuff, check out the HAPSTONE link down in the description. Pretty soon it will be under the NEEVEKNIVECO site, depending on when you're watching this, so check it anyways. Now with this one, I'm gonna do a standardized test. When I sharpened, I didn't do that because it makes no sense to do that. 2 different steels, 2 different knives, you know, the burr might come off differently. So with this though, I'm gonna do 10 passes per side. So okay, same thing. You can see the steel from the 14C, now the 20 CV. After stropping, the Civivi went to 197, 359 to 197, and the Wii went from 313 to 262. Not too bad, and exactly what I would expect. I would expect the Civivi to strop back a little bit better, considering it's a little thinner behind the edge, and it doesn't have as much wear resistance. Now you can see compared to the front edge, looks very, very consistent. You don't see very many microchips. When we move back to the heel where the cutting was done, you will see scratches at the apex. You can see little tiny microchips. So a great example of an apex wearing down. So also a good example of a proper edge bevel showing wear. We don't see any significant microchipping or anything like that, no edge rolling, you know, just some wear. As you can see, same thing, very consistent, beautiful scratch pattern, beautiful apex. The apex looks nice and solid. Now if we scoop back here to the heel, I already see the wear, wow. Now this is the 20 CV, but you can see again the little bits of, they're very micro as far as the little microchips, but it's exactly what I would expect. It's just the apex wearing down, you know, some of the teeth breaking off, some of them, you know, bending a little bit, but on a microscopic level, nothing significant. So it's showing proper wear on, you know, a proper edge bevel. Exactly what we should expect. Let's compare the finishes. So you can see the NEEVEKNIVECO version did do a lot more cutting, so it does have quite a bit more wear on the blade. But they're both pretty much identical, have the same cutting, you know, same wear in the exact same area, this 1-inch section right here. Same thing with this one. Now, I tried to stay away from this heel of the blade when I was comparing the sharpness, just because when I sharpened both of these had the exact same problem sharpening, where the heel of the blade was very difficult to hit because when they sharpened it at the factory, they must have came in at an angle on both of them. So it was a little bit wonky, a little bit more difficult to hit the apex just right here. So from here forward was fine. So I just, you know, when I was comparing the sharpness, I tried not to take that into account. So I think everything went about as good as it could have, meaning that considering the price difference between the two, you know, you would want or expect the premium knife to do a lot better than the budget knife. And we've seen it do that. We've seen it do better in every way across the board for the most part. Maybe not everything, but most things, as it should have. So it makes you feel a little bit better about buying the premium knife because you are getting better. Now, don't expect that to happen in every video because we have a lot more testing coming up in the future, and I've seen many budget knives outperform premium knives, so be prepared for that to happen. Some of you guys might even get your hearts broken on some models. Anyways, now, I want any constructive criticism down in the comments. If you guys think I could do something better, or I could have done something better, or could possibly do better in the future, in future videos, Let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear about it because I do plan on doing far more videos like this. Not only just like this, but just really in-depth, packed with information videos with lots of testing and things like that. So that's what I plan on doing, you know, moving forward, along with a lot of other videos too. But I plan on always testing something in the background and recording it and having a video plan to go up. So I'm open to hear any criticisms. I'm not perfect. I'm not saying this test is perfect. I'm not even saying that, you know, it's scientific in any way, shape, or form. You know, I'm doing the best I can to get the best results I can to, you know, or the most accurate results I can. But anyways, I appreciate you guys watching. We do have a membership where we do live sharpening twice a month. So you'll get live sharpening twice a month and giveaways twice a month. So every Sunday or every other Sunday, we do live giveaways and live sharpening for the members if you want to join. It's linked down in the description. I also link a bunch of dealers, a bunch of knife dealers, sharpening supplies, and all that stuff in every single video. And I also link everything that was featured in the video down in the description. Work hard, stay tough. Until next time, peace.